we've brought two of the best jump jockeys of all time together, Sir Anthony McCoy and Barry Geraghty, to relive some of their amazing memories throughout the years. 2010 AP Grand National. Only took you a couple attempts to win one.
There was 15th this was.
Yeah.
Just the 15th.
I didn't want to pick on you too much.
Oh dear.
There was plenty of horses, which I'm sure there was many years, that you could have ridden this year. One of them never got past the tape.
And they're off and racing, and King John's Castle has refused to leave the starting area, so casualty before the race has really begun.
Someone asked JP after the Grand National, what about King John's Castle? He said, well, I'm sure if he didn't want to start, he wasn't going to finish, that's for sure. So the others, Camp by Time, was the other one of John Joe's, and I was actually in the hotel on the Thursday morning, and John Joe rang me and says, which horse are you riding in the Grand National?
Yeah, why
which
did
one
you
am
choose
I?
him then?
And I says, do you know what, John Joe, Camp by Time won a race in Cheltenham on New Year's Day, a good handicap chase. And I said, you know what, there's nothing between them, toss a coin.
As they cut the corner now at the canal, and over it but going wide was Connor Castle to Black Appalachie in second. Hello Bud was over in third. Over in fourth came Ballyholland. All the leaders again are safely over, but down at the back of the field is Can't Buy Time. He has gone at the canal. They take Valentine's. And
there was a horse of Willie Mullins called Arbor Supreme. He was anti-post favourite kind of in February time for the Grand National. And I can remember JP asked me about why wouldn't I ride Arbor Supreme, and I said, whatever chance I have of winning the Grand National, I have less chance if I can't get him around. I said, and I don't think I have the ability to get Arbor Supreme around.
As they head towards the chair, it's Connor Castle who will lead them from Black Appalachie. Watching them over it, a bad mistake there. Arbor Supreme is the one that's gone at the chair.
Anyway, this day, don't push it. I had got a really good ride off him, even though he'd fallen in an Arkle. He was a horse that was keen on minding himself. He was quite intelligent and quite sure-footed and quite nimble.
Don't Push It is well placed just behind the leaders on the outside of State of Play.
But going out here on the second circuit, you know, at this point in Grand National, I always thought about getting around and getting a clear passage, and then you start picking your way. And look, you can set off with the idea of following the right horses and the lads that have experience, and you know, whether it be
and
Ruby or Barry or someone.
You find yourself behind the one you didn't want to be behind, as much as you can try and plan it.
And the thing about, Barry will tell you, the thing about riding over these fences up until this point, you know, is however good a jockey, you need a horse to have a good brain, be very bright at looking after himself, because there's times as a jockey you go to a fence and you think you're right and you do the wrong thing at the last minute.
Or they do something
else. So he needs to be able to look after himself a little bit, and that was the one thing that, look, see, there we go. That's why I said that, because I squeezed him and he put down and looked back at me as if to say, leave the jumping to me.
And when they seem like they're going very quick, for example, in a national, in these, you know, long staying races, how far into the race do you start? You know, if they're going too quick, how far back do you dare be? If you know, because if you give them too much rope and then you never get there.
I was always the opinion that just don't get too ahead of yourself, because it's the Grand National. Don't confuse it.
You're taking fence by fence.
Fence by fence.
Tony McCoy getting closer on Don't Push It as they go over the canal turn, and it's Black Appalachie who's out in front by 3 lengths now from Hello Bud and Big Fella Thanks. They go towards Valentine's.
Black Appalachie in front over Valentine's from Hello Bud and Big Fella Thanks. Don't Push It, White Cap up into fourth.
It was probably only from sort of here, the canal turn, that I kind of thought, I don't think anything is going to be coming from behind me. I thought I'd be very surprised if someone's cool enough to be sat behind me in a Grand National, cantering behind me, because I actually felt like I was going well.
Black Appalachie goes towards the next, just ahead from Hello Bud and Big Fella Thanks. The purple jacket down the inner. Don't Push It is next. They're clear from State of Play and Comply or Die, Connor Castle, then Snowy Morning as they make their way on towards the next.
I actually started to think here at one point, probably the first time in the whole race I started to think is, I remember watching Richard and Woody and Minnehaha, and I'm waiting on him, and I thought, if I ever get the chance in a Grand National, I'm going to try and wait, because if he can't keep going from the elbow to the winning post, he ain't going to win the Grand National. He's not meant to win the Grand National, you know. So
and that's why it's all about waiting, isn't it? Like there you are, if you're going well, but if you're going well, you just stay.
And it's Black Appalachie who leads the national field from Hello Bud, but Don't Push It, and AP stalking in behind with Barry Geraghty and Big Fella Thanks, and this group of 4 are clear with 2 to jump.
I must admit, when I was coming to the second last, I did think it's a matter of just be close to the ones beside you, but don't really commit. And even though Black Appalachie actually stuck at it well and I was beside him, and I was nursing there, but I was trying not to go. even though that's never been my strong point, because I liked
non-committed.
I liked committing.
Tony McCoy senses his national weight may be about to end as Don't Push It looms alongside and leads the last at the national.
I knew from here if he could, if he got to the elbow and if he couldn't win from there, then it wasn't really going to be my fault. But I always did this thing, I've said it many times, Leonna, that much better jockeys than me never won the Grand National,
Don't Push It in front, ears pricked, idling. Black Appalachia trying to preserve the run up the inside, but Tony McCoy, the winning most national hunt rider of all time, has waited a long time to land his first John Smith's Grand National. First all round, Tony McCoy, JP McManus, John Joe O'Neill, Don't Push It won the national.
So I got a lot of fulfilment and
Relief?
And relief, yeah, a lot of relief, because you go away or you're hanging out with other lads and, so someone says, oh, you're a jockey and all that, and the first thing they'll nearly say to you is, did you win the Grand National?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that...
Career defining.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that you think, it didn't make me a better jockey, but I'm pretty happy that I won the Grand National.